Hey everybody, it's Allison again, www.stlprostretch.com. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Today's video is a resistance stretch. We're going to be problem solving the X quadrant. So I have a previous video about this, but this is more of a practical, like how do I problem solve these muscles? And the muscles that we're talking about are the quad. We've got the medial hamstring, the lateral hamstring, and the groin. So the quad balancing muscle is medial hamstring. I'll show you that in a minute. And I'll show you a couple different options for stretching the quad. And then we'll get into the groin and the lateral hamstring, which usually is the tightest. So I'm going to give you two different stretches for that one. It's maybe a long one today, so hang in there. All right. So let's start with the lateral quad. And this is a great stretch to warm up with. It's one of my favorite stretches. Go ahead and lie down. Put something under your head if you need it. We're going to take the left foot and move it out to the side in a diagonal away from the body. At least a 90-degree bend in your knee. Remember, as we start going through these, never work through pain. Work within your range of motion. Don't yank the muscle. And also, we're always moving and resisting. So the muscle is contracting the whole time. We're going from long to short and short to long. So I've got my left leg out to the side, 90-degree bend in the knee. I'm going to cross my right ankle over top. I'm going to press the right ankle outward into the knee. The knee is going to be opening out to the side. So these two are going to hook, and they're going to push against each other the entire time we're doing this stretch. So I'm going to let my right ankle win the battle and rotate the knee inward. That is my stretch for the quad. And then let the knee win. The right ankle is still kicking out into the knee and opening out to the side. Now I've got a little glute stretch going on. So it's kind of a double stretch, in and out. If you want more quad stretch, we're going to take this ankle and pull it in close to the butt on the outside. So that's going to give you more quad stretch. If your hip starts to pop up, that's fine. Just try to minimize it by using your abdominals to pull the core in. Usually if the hip pops up a lot, that's telling you, well, I'm gone past my range of motion. So just kind of work within it, and maybe this range of motion is just here. That's okay. Just keep working it, and sooner or later, usually it'll start opening up for you. So what if, just saying, what if you get here and your hamstrings cramp up on you? Well, as usual, the hamstrings are very bossy and they always win. So I am going to take you through the medial hamstring stretch next on the same side. So just to explain, we're stretching the quad, internal rotation. On the exact opposite side is that medial hamstring, the semimembranosus. So to stretch the semimembranosus, I have to bring my leg around the opposite direction and open it. So I'm going to open my knee out to the side. My foot's just sticking up. This leg's just going to stay bent and just relax. I'm going to make the OK sign with my fingers, and I'm going to hook my index and my thumb around the heel. So that's where we start. Now, to contract this medial hamstring, you're really going to have to put your brain in it. You might want to take your hand and put it kind of on the inside back of the thigh. I'm going to kick my heel down toward my groin. My arm is going to be pushing the opposite direction to slow this movement down. So for this one, I'm just going to start with strength. The heel is going to kick down toward the groin, and the arm is going to move the opposite direction. And now I'm going to start again at the beginning starting position. So just contract that muscle a couple times, see if you can get it to activate, and then we'll start to stretch it. So now I'm going to kick my heel down into the groin, and I'm going to let my arm win and push it the other direction. It should feel like I'm prying my leg open until I feel a stretch. In and out. This is actually also a double stretch. You're getting a trap stretch and a rear shoulder stretch at the same time. This is actually kind of nice, but it can be a little tiring because obviously your legs are a little stronger than your arms. So just hang in there and know that you're doing good things for your upper back as well until this muscle starts to get warmed up. And then we can try going back to the first stretch, the lateral quad. I told you I was going to demonstrate a deeper lateral quad stretch. I would suggest grabbing a block or a blanket for this one and a chair. So for this one, I'm going to do it on this block just because I don't think my leg's long enough to get myself up there. And I'm going to put my knee on the block. My right leg is out to the side. I'm going to reach down to the floor and flip my foot up. This is a little more advanced, so if you can't do it, don't worry about it. Just go back to the first one. And then I'm going to come up. Now, most people would just stay here and enjoy this stretch. If it's enjoyable for you, it is for me. But we are going to add movement and resistance. So I'm going to push my foot into the chair, and I'm going to keep pushing my foot into the chair and back it up. I'm going to do the opposite of sticking my butt out to get that nice quad stretch. Forward and back. Got it? So as I said, this might be a little too much for you. This stretch has just done wonders for my knees, so I'm a big fan. But if it's too much for you, then go back to the first stretch and see what you can do with that. So that's the second option for the quad stretch. All right. So what happens if I go into this stretch, right? And my hamstrings are cramping up, and I do this stretch, and all I can feel is just this tug on the outside. Well, then we need to stretch this hamstring. Obviously, the outer hamstring is just more bound up than the inner hamstring. It's very common. This biceps femoris is usually the tightest of all the hamstrings, so we need to stretch it. And there's a couple of different ways we can stretch it. One way, and this is probably the harder way to do it, but it's definitely more intense for sure. Just like the medial hamstring, except it's not out to the side, I'm going to angle my knee in. So I'm going to take my knee inward, and then I'm going to take my right hand and reach for the outside of the foot. So this is how I'm hooked together. I'm going to be kicking down with my foot and pulling the opposite direction across the body with my arm. So the arm is always moving out. The heel is always kicking in. And I am going to pull it across the body until I feel a stretch. But the heel is always kicking down. Remember that. It should feel like you're prying the leg open. Now, if you want a deeper stretch and getting more into this lateral aspect, I would suggest tipping your right knee inward. That is going to give you more internal rotation and make the stretch just even better. You can also do this stretch in a chair. It's a lovely one to do in a chair. That way you can lean back and relax. Now, what happens if you get here and you're just so jammed up in here and here in the groin? Well, we need to address the groin. So that would be the fourth muscle in this quadrant. So exact opposite of the outer hamstring and getting into some of the other muscles like the piriformis is the groin. The groin goes internal. This stretches. Stretch the groin, and this is going to contract. So to do the groin, we've got the butterfly stretch from yoga. Bottom of the feet together. I'm going to pull my knees towards each other. Push open with my arms. So I'm pushing open with my arms. I kind of like to externally rotate my arms as I do this stretch, and then I'm going to keep pushing open with the arms and let my knees, my legs win the stretch. So open and close. The nice part about this one is you can do both legs at the same time. Yay! And also, for this one, I usually get a really nice upper back stretch for the rhomboids and a little bit of trap. So we stretch the groin out, and then we can go back to the lateral hamstring. So just try that, and then come back to your lateral hamstring and try it again. Should be easier, hopefully. You feel less bound up in the groin area. And then I wanted to show you the other stretch for the lateral hamstring, which is a standing stretch. And this one, my head's going to get cut off, but that's all right. I'm going to come back here and use this chair for balance. So I'm going to turn around this way. I am standing on my left leg, and I'm going to reach down for the floor with my right arm. My right leg is going to kick up. My chest and my leg are going to be in one line. So as my chest comes down, my leg goes up, and I'm reaching down and back again. So this is your standing lateral hamstring stretch. We want to turn the back foot inward. I almost have to think about pigeon-toeing my back leg to get this stretch. And that is the alternate version of the lateral hamstring. So obviously you would do the other leg as well, but I just wanted to give you guys a better idea of how to go about doing problem solving. So say you wanted to stretch your lateral hamstring, and that was your first muscle. You try stretching it, and you just feel really bound up in like the groin area or the front of the hip. Try stretching out the groin, maybe try stretching out the hip flexor, and then come back to your lateral hamstring and see if that solves the problem. Now, if it doesn't, then you may have to address the medial hamstring and the quad. But they all go together in the same quadrant, and that is how we do basic problem solving in Kihara resistance stretching. I hope you learned something from this. Leave any questions or comments in below, and I will do my best to answer them. Have a great day, happy stretching, and I'll see you next time.